Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special program. Today, we're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about happiness, and most importantly, we're going to talk about emotional well-being. With us, we have Mr. Charles Hogg, all the way from Australia, and we call him Brother Charlie. Brother Charlie, welcome to our program.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. I'm happy to be here.
So, you are representing Brahma Kumari from Australia.
That's right.
Is it your first visit in Mauritius?
No, I've been here 3 times before, and I think perhaps the first time was 25 years ago. But my last time was in 2015.
Okay.
I was due to come in 2020, but COVID intervened, so I'm here now.
So, how do you like Mauritius?
I really love Mauritius, and I think when that question's asked, it's the people. I find people here very warm, very sweet, very friendly, very lovely. And I don't just say that because I'm on television. I really mean it from my heart.
So, if I may ask, how did Charles Hogg and Brahma Kumari, these two, meet?
Yeah, Ritesh, I mean, we all have a story. I grew up in Melbourne, and I studied architecture at Melbourne University, but I think all my life, you know how you go about your life, but you're always trying to learn internally. I was searching. I would say I was a relatively happy person.
Okay.
But that search for more meaning or more substance, in life was very strong. So I took time out when I was 20 and I wandered the world for 2 years. And I lived in religious communities in Southeast Asia, India, the Middle East, Africa, Europe. I live with all the religious, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Taoists, and so on. And I settled in London. And I was working in London, but actually as I was working, I was always delving into different ways of thinking, different approaches to life. And as I was doing that, I came across the Brahma Kumaris. And to be honest, it wasn't so much what they said, it was who they were. Because to me, as spirituality comes through your being, it's not just clever language. But I could see from their faces and their vibrations that they were very calm and peaceful people. So that really inspired me to learn to meditate.
And now today you're the director of Brahma Kumari in Australia and the Asia Pacific countries.
That's right, yes. What happened was I began to meditate myself. I moved back to Melbourne for a few years, and then I was invited to live in Sydney. Sydney is our national coordinating office, and Sydney coordinates the region of Asia for the Brahma Kumaris. So, I've been there now 45 years or something like that.
So, we would like to know, what is Brahma Kumari all about?
I would say that Brahma Kumaris is a university to study the inner life.
Okay.
We all know so much of the world. We are so educated about this world around us today. But we're so uneducated about our inner world, so that even people with PhDs and people who are highly educated, when we lose a bit of confidence, when we feel slightly down or depressed or anxious, anxiety is going like this in our world, we don't know how to manage it. We don't know. We can manage the external world, but the Brahma Kumaris is like a university to really learn how to manage me and my internal world, which to me is really what life is about, to understand this world. And I would say the main qualification for a good leader, a good manager, is to manage or lead the self first.
During the Corona period, one of my friends told me that we are not allowed to go outside, so it's the time to go inside.
Yeah.
That touched me a lot. I would like to ask you, just mention about happiness. So, what is happiness? What is the definition of happiness? For many people, getting a job, getting a good salary, beautiful life, luxurious life is happiness. So for you, for Brahma Kumari, what is the definition of happiness?
It's a really interesting question because I would say our contemporary culture is to seek happiness externally. So we get happiness from a relationship, happiness from a job. It's true, it is happiness, but it is all temporary. And because we get the high, and then we come back again. We get another high, and then we come back again. You know, a lot of people believe that that's even the foundation of addiction too. What the Brahma Kumaris is about is really looking at a more permanent form of happiness. So that as much as relationships change, the workplace changes, your job changes, you can retain a quality of happiness within yourself, regardless of how the external world changes. And honestly, Ritesh, as you know, this is what we need because our world is changing so fast at the moment. Unless we have an anchor in myself, quite frankly, people feel overwhelmed by all the change and newness in our world at the moment.
But living in a stressful life, living in today's life, or working with so many stress and all, we still find it very difficult to find happiness. You know, we have family to look after, we have deadlines to meet at work. So in all these troubles, how do we find happiness?
Because, like I was saying, we're trying to find happiness from that which is temporary.
Okay.
When we meditate, our first point of finding happiness is to know who I am and experience who I am, that fundamentally I'm a spiritual being, I'm a soul, and that is permanent. So when I have a sense, so I don't just think I'm Charlie, because that's a temporary identity. At some point I'm going to die, I'm going to leave. But beyond that, I'm a soul. And the more I invest in that which is permanent, I can know permanent happiness. The more I keep investing in that which is temporary, I only know temporary happiness. Now, I know this is easy to say, but actually it's very possible to live in this world, fulfill my responsibilities, but really create that anchor of self-awareness. I would say, for me, there's two main things of happiness. It's to know who I am, and on the basis of that, rebuild my self-value, my self-respect. And when I have self-respect, then I can remain consistent amongst all the people with all the opinions, all the ideas, all the moods, all the change, everything which we all have to confront every day. When I know who I am, and on the basis of that, I have self-respect, I have a stability inside, regardless of how much upheaval is outside of me. You know, in saying all this, it takes practice, but honestly, I feel as I move around the world, it's essential today to do something because it's a very unpredictable world environment we're living in at the moment.
You have traveled many countries, so do you think people are very stressful today?
Very stressful. And you know, I feel really sorry because everyone has the intent for a happy life. But because I feel the seed of our thinking is false, we don't experience that happiness we really want. Because the seed of my thinking is that I'm this temporary identity, this temporary body. And that creates so much fear of loss, you know. I'll lose my family, I'll lose my job, I'll lose. So I'm living in fear and anxiety. But actually, you know, I really love it when people start to learn how to meditate, create a foundation of self-awareness, and you can see an incredible transformation begin. So they can manage all the ups and downs which life presents all of us every day.
So you mean to say meditation is the only solution to manage stress?
No. I would say, to me, meditation isn't something you just do morning and night. You know, because what I find, Ritesh, is that a lot of people today learn to meditate. In Australia, all the big universities teach their students to meditate, all the big banks, all the big corporations. But what happens is people meditate in the morning, they really calm down, but as soon as they finish meditation, their mind reverts to their old thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas really what we're learning here is to take your meditation into your relationships, into your family, into your working life. So you're connecting your inner life with your outside. And that's what people really want. We love our jobs, we love our family, but we'd love to feel peaceful while we're doing it. And I think meditation is that missing ingredient to really connect me with who I really am.
One very simple question. You just said that it needs practice. So how long will it take? 1 day, 1 week? It's a very simple question people would like to know.
You know, if I was to answer that, it depends on the person. But, you know, it does take time, if I'm really honest, because we're dealing with the mind. And, you know, a lot of scientists say the mind creates 30 to 50,000 unique thought patterns in a day. And, you know, in a way, how we just let our mind wander anywhere. Just whatever I see, I begin to think. I hear, think. So in a sense, the world's controlling my thinking. So when you sit down and try to feed your mind with the quality of thought you want, your mind rebels. And that's why a lot of people start meditation and then they stop again. But if you persevere, what I found is you go through that jungle of unprocessed feelings and stories, and you find this pristine point of incredible stillness and silence. To me, it's one of the magic moments of life. With my own thoughts, I find a place, a sanctuary in myself that's so still, so calm. That is, to me, one of the main aims of human life, to sit in that place and try to live from that place. Now, as I said, it does take practice, but it's absolutely possible. And I would say more and more necessary in our life at the moment.
Okay. You just mentioned about spirituality. We've talked about happiness. Now I would like to know about spirituality. What is spirituality?
Yeah, to me, spirituality is like creating a new foundation of the self. And to me, spirituality is having a loving relationship with myself as the soul, the spirit, and a loving relationship with the divine, with God, for whatever background you are. And when you put that platform, that's your platform, you build your life, it's solid, it's permanent. And it's like no matter how much this world swirls around it, you have built your life on something solid. That to me is spirituality. You are engaged with life, you're responsible in life, but your platform is knowing who you are and having the connection with the one who's eternally stable. So sometimes I hold the image, if my mind's connected to people, situations, the past, it's all over the place. But if my mind's connected to the divine, it stabilizes it. And the thing is, I think a lot of people today want to meditate, but honestly, they feel it's too hard. So, but it's not too hard. And I feel it's really an important thing to do.
Is it advisable to watch videos and learn how to meditate, or you should have someone in your life to teach you how to meditate?
You know, everything is good. And I think the YouTube has amazing benefits, doesn't it? But I think you really need to meet with somebody, because you're going to the deepest things of life. And meditation is taking ideas. For instance, the idea, who am I? I am the soul. The soul is a point of consciousness which sits in the front of the brain. Now, what I want to do now is convert that into a feeling, that truth. Because when you do, you have a quality of peace nothing else will give you. And you need somebody as a mentor to help you do it. So YouTube is okay. But I honestly feel that if you can sit with someone, I really think it's better, if it's possible,
So we can call him our guru?
You know, Ritesh, I feel, one, that we need to give respect to everybody. But there's a different culture in our world now where rather than venerating someone and worshipping someone with knowledge, it's a time that we all take our own knowledge and grow into our best self. if I can even say the guru for the self. It's not an arrogance, but I think so much of the spiritual journey is empowering me and taking back my self-value so I don't keep giving away my self-respect to people and situations and criticism and disapproval, which often we dance to the tune of how people think of us. You know, we're so sensitive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think meditation rebuilds a sense of inner strength so that I become the master. I don't worship a master, but I become more of a master myself. Of course, remaining humble, but taking back my self-authority.
And we connect ourselves to the oneness that I have inside me, and the same oneness is inside you.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Let's talk about the emotional well-being. We all know that well-being means like peace, harmony, happiness. So how do we balance our emotion in stressful life?
You know, I think the big effect of life today is the emotional roller coaster. You know, one day you're up, the next day you're down. It's exhausting, actually. And you know the way I look at emotions, emotions are the children of a dysfunctional relationship with me. The first relationship is actually with me. And if that relationship isn't healthy, it produces this depression, this anxiety, this confusion. And in a way, emotional well-being comes from repairing, healing the relationship with me.
Okay.
You know, my sense, look at our world. I mean, most people today acknowledge it's a pretty crazy world and seems to be getting crazier. Why? If 8 billion people, there's now 8 billion on our planet, don't have a healthy relationship with me, it spills out into my family life, my working life, society. Will I respect other people, the environment, anything? I don't think so. And I think that's why the Brahma Kumaris really feel that the real work is to heal this broken relationship with myself. Because, you know, I've often talked to highly successful people in the world, and yet the self-talk in the mind is often highly negative. Putting the self down, criticizing the self, feeling inferior, lacking confidence. And this is really, I think, when the relationship with self is repaired, emotions become cooler once again.
One more question. When you're talking about emotional well-being, let's say, for example, if we are going to meditate, after that we come back to our original world. We meet people. I'm not saying all the people, but some people, we get the negative vibes. How do we avoid these vibrations?
You know, the more we've lost our internal power, when I don't have power, I look for you to give me power. So sometimes I think of the mind like a vacuum cleaner. So if you give me love, if you give me respect, but if you insult me, if you criticize, I take it all in and I blame you. Actually, being sensitive is my own weakness. And because we've lost our internal strength, the reality of life is every day we'll meet difficult people. We'll have to interact with people going through heavy moods themselves. So if I keep blaming them, I've got to empower myself not only to not be influenced by that, but to show compassion to them as well. And I really believe that the mind is something incredibly powerful. And when your mind is benevolent, your mind has good feelings, it's like a perfume you spread in the air. You sort of infect everybody with that. That is a beautiful life. And that's really what people need today, people to go around and really spread this perfume of good feeling, non-judgment. Sometimes someone has an obvious weakness, they make a mistake. We are so judgmental, sometimes really cruel. And yet at that time, that person needs us to really be kind to them, really be gentle to them, show compassion to them.
You're talking about the mind. I still remember I was reading The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. He was saying that the mind is like a garden. We grow what we want. Do not let any unwanted herbs grow in that. It was so beautiful. Coming back to emotional well-being. So how do we balance the emotion in our family?
Yeah, that's I think, it's interesting, isn't it, Ritesh? The law of life seems to say the people you love most, the people you care for most, the people you're closest affect you most.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
you know, and what I feel is that often the basis of relationships today is we're all a bit needy. I want you to love me, respect me, support me. But no human being can fulfill all of that. And what spirituality says is we are a couple, but let's empower ourselves. And on the basis of each individual stepping into their own power, you have a more stable, consistent relationship. So the Brahma Kumaris will teach a woman to empower herself, a man to empower himself, and take responsibility for how they feel. Because the biggest thing today is we put the onus of my feelings on you. Because you behave this way, I feel this way. That's false. That is not true. The truth of life is I am responsible for how I feel. And if two parties, I think if a husband and wife have the courage, the humility, and the wisdom to say yes, it can transform the dynamics of a relationship, because someone may be rude to me, but I have a choice. Do I accept that or do I not accept it? And if I accept it, that's my choice. I'm choosing to be affected. I know it's easy to say, but really deep down, we've lost our power. We've lost our spiritual strength. And that's why we're so sensitive to people around us, so easily hurt. And then I blame them. So I'm in this cycle of negative cycle, but it's actually me. And if I have the humility and honesty to take responsibility, and if a couple do that, it does wonders in improving a relationship.
Can this be a solution for many divorce cases?
I think it can, because we're in this culture of blame. I was in India once, and someone said, whenever you do that, there's 3, 4, 5 fingers
Pointing towards me. Yeah.
pointing towards me.
Yeah.
And I would say a part of today's culture of lack of self-awareness is we don't see my own ego. We don't see how I'm a part of a situation. So unfortunately, we have so many couples today just blaming each other, whereas both are responsible. And if they had the courage to sit down and say, what's my part in the problem? And you say, what's your part? Let's all work on ourselves and take responsibility. I think an enormous healing can begin to take place. Because, it's interesting you say this, because I was asked recently, what's the biggest crisis in the world? Most people say the environment, etc. To me, it's relationships. There's a real breakdown in the family, which is the fundamental social support unit for the human heart, to give love and care and respect for the heart. In all cultures of the world, it's breaking down. And you know why? It's because of lack of self-awareness. And then when I lack that, I just project everything on to my partner, my children, my parents. Everyone else is the problem.
Brother Charlie, our conversation is so deep that we've come to the end of our program. So I would like to thank you very much for all these beautiful, divine, peaceful messages to our viewers.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Ritesh.
Any
Thank you.
special message for our viewers watching us today?
I feel the world is giving us a signal. The call of time is to take responsibility and look after my mind and my emotions, do something for myself.
Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.